Hey, this is Dan Bunker, and this code tutorial is part of a series of demos on strings in the Java programming language. String comparison is something that you'll often need to do, and in Java you can accomplish this using the equals method. Checking string equality is slightly different than, say, checking number equality. The core Java string class provides an equals method that you can use to see if two strings are equal or not. The equals method is originally defined in the base Java object class, but the string class has overridden it to provide a string-specific implementation. If you define a string like this, you can see if it is equal to another string by doing something like this. The original string S is compared to another string called Saturday is the best day of the week. The equals method compares each character starting with S, then A, then T, and so on. If all characters match up in the same sequence, then the equals method will return true. Otherwise, it returns false. They are not equal. For this example, these two strings are equal, and true would be returned. If I were to compare the original string with this string, it returns false. Can you see why? If you look close, you'll see that the S is lowercase in this example. A lowercase s doesn't equal an uppercase s. The equals method is case sensitive, meaning all of the characters have to match exactly. So what if you do want to run a case insensitive compare? The string class still has you covered. You can use this method instead. The equals ignore case method does the same thing as equals, except upper and lowercase comparisons are considered equal. So this string comparison using the equals ignore case would now return true. Continuing on with the string learning series, I'm back in Spring Tool Suite, and I'm going to create a new class to handle string equals. So I'll simply do that by creating a new Java class. I'm going to call it string equals. Check the public static void main method option and click finish. I'll remove the auto-generated comment. And now I can define a new string. In this case, I've set a local string variable set equal to is this equal question mark. Again, the simplest way to understand the equals is to simply try it out. So in a system.out, I'm going to compare it to another string. So I can check if the string s is equal to another string called is this equal question mark. I can run this program and it should either return true or false. So down at the console here, it printed out true because these two strings are equal. Oftentimes though, you won't be comparing a literal with another string. You'll be comparing two string variables. So I can declare another string variable called s2 and set the text portion of that equal to the first one. Now in my equals, I can simply compare s with s2 to see if those two string variables are equal now. Can click on this button to rerun the program, and it still prints out true. To see if string equality is working, we can simply lowercase one of these to a lowercase I, and at this point, the string should no longer be equal because I lowercase is not the same as I uppercase. Now if we rerun this, we'll see that it printed out false. So I'm going to copy the system outline here with a new one. We can try out the equals ignore case now. And that means the first out should print false and the second one will print true because we don't care about case with the second equals method, which it does right here. So string equality is quite equal in Java. What you need to remember is that you can't do something like this. Oftentimes, you'll see programmers use the double equal sign to check for string comparison equality. So hopefully you should be asking yourself, what happens if I run the program now? Is that going to be equal or not? So go ahead and try that. It printed out false. So you might think that the double equals is actually a case-sensitive equals. So if we change our s2 back to the exact same string and save this, do you think it will return true or false for this last system.out? If we rerun that, it returns true. Since it returned true, you might think that the double equals is the same as the dot equals method. But what's really going on here is that the dot equals is doing a character by character comparison, whereas the double equals is doing a string reference or object reference comparison. So you might ask, why is S and S2 equals in this case? Because they're two different local variables. So if you remember back, Java strings are immutable, and immutable strings simply can't be changed once they're created. But strings are also pooled by the JVM for efficiency, so that the literal string is this equal question mark is actually reused for both variables. So in short, what's happening here is the dot equals that occurs up here is actually doing a string by string comparison, or character by character comparison more precisely, and the dot equals here is saying, are the two strings referenced equal in the string literal pool? This isn't always going to be the case. You can find instances where this will fail even though the dot equals will not. So you should never rely on the double equals to do string comparisons. Always use the dot equals or the dot equals ignore case. And that's it for Java string comparisons with equals and equals ignore case. To continue on with the Java string learning series, be sure to check out codecram.com.